watching the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Steve Grover. We're back here for another episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast. It is the end of May. We're moving into June, and it's going to be summer season soon. And I've got a very famous guest here today. I've seen him several times speak in the U.S. I go to a lot of U.S. conferences. I met him most recently at the ATA conference in Nashville, and it's John Romano from Romano Law Group. And John, how are you doing?
I am doing well, and I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to this. We'll have a lot of fun, and hopefully this will help everybody.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I mean, it's been always a privilege and honor to hear you talk, and I'll be truthful with you and honest, as a lawyer should be. Whenever I go to ATA, I always look for your name first to see when you're speaking, and I make sure I highlight it and I show up and just listen, because you're very entertaining. You're full of energy, and you love the law. Is that pretty much my read on you when I listen to you?
That would be an accurate read. I've been practicing law for over 52 years. I will never retire. They're going to have to drag me away, and I can tell you this, Steve. And I can pass a lie detector test on this right now. But when I got up this morning, I was every bit as fired up, enthusiastic, excited, thrilled to be a trial lawyer as I was the day I started practicing. I love lawyering. I love being a trial lawyer.
Okay.
They will have to drag me away.
Okay, so they'll have to drag you away from the courthouse, right?
Well, from whatever it is I'm doing as a trial lawyer.
Okay. Well, I know who you are, and I've seen you speak several times. I was introduced to you. I know your son Todd. I've talked to him years ago on a case that you guys couldn't help us on, but he gave us a good referral lawyer attorney in Miami who helped us out. But tell my viewers a little bit here about who John Romano is and the Romano Law Group.
After college, we were chatting before. I went to Florida State University and then on to law school and spent a few years with the United States Marine Corps, where I was in the JAG Corps. So in the Marines, you go first through boot camp, and then you go through 6 months of infantry training, then to the Naval Justice School, and then I did that, prosecuting and defending felony cases for a few years. Been in private practice ever since, have handled and continue to handle everything in the tort field: auto, trucking, medical malpractice, product liability, negligent security, etc. And over the years, did a lot of work in the criminal justice field. And we practice here, Romano Law Group. Our firm is headquartered in West Palm Beach, Florida, although we handle cases all over the state of Florida, all over the country. And if it were appropriate and we could do it, we would handle cases in other countries.
Okay, yeah, so just to make it clear, Romano Law Group is based in West Palm. It's not in Boca, correct?
West Palm Beach, Florida, yes.
Okay, sorry about that. That was my mistake. I've been to West Palm, I've been to Boca, but yeah, and your headquarters is in West Palm. And how long have you been practicing law in West Palm Beach for?
Well, other than my time with the Marine Corps, my entire career, so a little over 52 years in the active practice of law.
Okay. And, I can tell you my story why I became a lawyer. I mean, essentially in my family growing up with my parents, there's only two choices in life. There's either be a doctor or a lawyer. And my dad's convinced, because he's a surgeon, I took the easy way out, okay?
I get it.
Yeah, but living up in Florida, going to Florida State, what was the attraction of you going to law school? What was the interest back then?
Oh, well, when I was growing up, I always thought about, somewhat similar to you, but I always thought about three things. Eventually, either being a doctor or a lawyer, and being in the United States Marine Corps was always a part of it. I had some uncles who were in the Marine Corps, so I looked up to Marines, and that became a big part of it. But what I loved about lawyering is when I started to pay attention in college to these issues that changed lives that started pulling me more towards law. And then when I saw some of these great trials, including civil rights trials, and I would see things that would happen in the criminal justice system, I will say that definitely the empathy side of me kicked in a strong way, because I thought that's what I would really, really love to be doing. There's no question, I love representing the underdog, always.
Yeah. Okay. And you go to law school, you go Florida, you're in the JAG Corps, the Marine Division, and just to let you know, I do have bulldogs, so I don't know, the mascot for the Marine Corps are English bulldogs, okay? So I got Winston and Roosevelt, okay?
I get it. Yeah.
Okay. But the day-to-day grind of being an attorney, you hear it all the time. There's stress, there's anxiety. The American Bar Association has a study. If you make it 5 years as a lawyer, you're going to be a career attorney. So what's the passion that like you mentioned earlier, you wake up and you're so excited to go to work? Because, what's the passion that you has consistently left you for over 50 years to continue to enjoy your work every day?
Oh, well, let me start with this. Some people get up and they're going off to a job. Other people get up and they're going off to a career. And those who are really, really lucky, you're going off to a calling. And I feel as though I was blessed to fall in love with the profession of law, always thinking of it as I was called to do this.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a big part of it. But another big part of it is the people around you in your life. And I was fortunate to have met my wife Nancy in college, and we fall in love. We were married at 21, and by the time I hit 28 and got out of the Marine Corps, we had 4 kids and we were on our way. But to fall in love with somebody who is always there, always supportive, it's almost like her being somewhat of a lawyer herself.
Yeah.
I cannot think of anything more important, not just in my life, but in my being a lawyer, than to have been lucky enough to fall in love with the right person. When that person is supportive and is not just a cheerleader, but becomes like a coach for you in everything, it's wonderful. And to me, that makes a huge difference. I always loved the thrill of competition in litigation and trials. Mm-hmm. It's somewhat like remaining in sports. It's like you're a jock your entire life when you go into litigation and trials, because it is so fiercely competitive. But when you mention stress or pressure, I'm reminded of one of our young lawyers. I was getting her around talking about the pressure, and she said, well, remember something, Mr. Romano, pressure makes diamonds. Yeah. And I said, that is such a good point. And I tell people, look, if you want to be an NFL quarterback, and you say, well, I don't like stress, well, you don't want to be an NFL quarterback. If you don't like stress, don't be a trauma surgeon. And if you don't like stress, you cannot be a litigation and trial lawyer, because it is built in to where it is supposed to be stressful. Mm-hmm. It is supposed to be tough and hard and meaningful and challenging, to where you're concerned about your clients. You worry about what a judge is going to do. You don't sit back and in a state of relaxation when you are doing litigation and trials. And I have always found that to be good. To me, I can try a case and I stay pretty relaxed, even during a trial or a critical deposition. These things are important, but to me, that is a part of it, that stress is a necessary ingredient when you are doing things like this.
Okay. Yeah, and that totally makes sense. I mean, I have a bunch of, associates working for me, and, what is stress? And, we have the privilege, we live in Canada, you live in the United States, two great countries, we're part of the G8, Western world. I mean, when I've traveled the world, I've been to, some countries like India, where people don't have money, they don't have food, and that, for me, that is real stress. And seeing your son die early on in a village in Africa because you don't have, penicillin. I mean, compared to what we're doing as trial lawyers, that's real life. Wouldn't you agree with that?
And I totally do. I often tell clients, I say, look, I will never pretend that I can just step into your shoes and know exactly what you are going through. I can only feel for you as best as I can and spend time with you. A big thing in our firm that we make a big deal about pushing is this, and I say this to people all the time. In every case, when you're a plaintiff trial lawyer, you have three agendas. Agenda number one is the agenda of your client. Agenda number two is the agenda of your client. Agenda number three is the agenda of your client. Take care of your client. Communicate with your client. Pick up the phone and call your client when you don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You don't have to wait until something happens, or there's an event, or a judge makes a ruling, or there's some deadline coming in. Call them sometimes and just say, hey, I'm driving down the road, I was just thinking about you, you doing okay? Just wanted to call and see how you're doing. Those kinds of things are so important in what we do. Very, very important. So yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna admit that I plagiarize you, because when I talk to my lawyers every morning, we have an 8:30 morning meeting after the weekend, and I always tell them, client, client, client. And I got that from you. I saw a video a couple years ago, and it reminisced that you can't, like you say, you can't step in the shoes of your client. You can never experience, like, we're dealing with a wrongful death case right now. I'm never gonna understand what the widow of that beautiful, her beautiful husband, and what that family's gone through. But if you put the client agenda first above you, you understand your role as an advocate for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important, and also trying to, well, I'll give you an example. I've given a lecture about a year ago, and a young lawyer, she puts her hand up and she says, what is the most important thing you do as a lawyer? And I said, this may surprise you, but I comfort my clients. In other words, our role in a major way is to comfort our clients. Sometimes we will have news for them that is bad news, or not the best of news, or not what they would want to hear, but it can be delivered in a way where it is more comforting than in a harsh way. But if the client gets to know you, the clients get to trust you, they go to bed at night going, whatever's happening, I know my lawyer is at least doing the best he or she can be doing for me in my case. That's how I want them to feel. I want them to feel comfortable with that. They know we could go to trial and lose, or they know a judge could grant a motion that might throw the entire case out of court. But so long as you're staying in touch with them and they know that, and they know you're pushing and pushing and pushing for them, that's what makes all the difference in the world. And to me, at least in this part of law, litigation and trials, it's 24/7, 365. And it morphs with your personal life. So when people say, well, I've got a personal life, I got a work life, I say, to me, that's nonsensical.
Yeah.
If you love what you're doing, it blends.
Yeah.
and you can do both, and you can make it to the school meetings for your children, or their sporting events, or somebody's wedding, or the Thanksgiving dinners, and at the same time work hard and go night and day for your clients. You can do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand at all this concept of you leave work at 5 o'clock, shut it down,
Mm-hmm.
and now you don't even think about work. You think about family, and then what? You go to work the next morning,
Yeah.
and then some people say, well, now I'm devoted to work. My family's off my mind. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Your family's always on your mind, and your work is always on your mind, and you worry about them and these clients, and it's so important. And so when we're interviewing people for jobs and they hit me with this, well, what's your firm's philosophy on work-life balance? I say it's not about work-life balance. It's about fulfillment in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is so very, very important as a philosophy. And that's part of what makes me drive hard every day.
Yeah, and like fortunately I had a father and he was a general surgeon and he had the same passion of medicine as you're showing right now. And growing up with him as the oldest of four kids, I saw like, he could spend time with me. We could go to Banff. Yeah, you're familiar with Banff,
Oh yeah.
So
We love Banff.
So I don't know if you know right now, Banff is the #1 tourist location in the world that passed Paris and Venice last year. Okay, so if you ever come up here again, look me up. But you're gonna pay through your nose now for a hotel room. Okay.
Oh no, I've stayed there at the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it up there.
Yeah, the Banff
We love it
Springs.
up there.
Yeah. But it's just
But
interesting.
by the way, let me interrupt for just
Yeah,
one
go
moment
ahead.
to say this is an official statement on behalf of the United States of America. We love Canada and we love Canadians.
Yeah.
And when you hear some of this nonsense where people are not saying things like that, well, I'm embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
It's shame on them. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Canada and Americans and Canadians have always been together, teammates,
Yeah.
roommates, every kind of, always together. And that's the way it must stay marching into the future. And it's the same thing with the Canadian lawyers and the American lawyers. We have to always be working together as a team.
Yeah.
And these people that try to divide us,
Yeah.
and shame on them for trying to do that.
Yeah. And I have
I'm not mentioning any names, by the way.
Yeah, we won't mention any names. I don't want to get really political, but we know who you're talking about. But yeah, like I attended school in the U.S. I grew up in Canada. I have a passion to go in the U.S. Like, I go to conferences. Like our firm's going to be back in Denver for the ATA annual symposium. Hopefully, we'll see you there at Joe Fried's seminar.
Joe is amazing.
Yeah.
What he's done with ATA, it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
The genius of the idea that he had, the way he stayed with it, and has molded it into such a strong and powerful and meaningful organization. And that's all Joe Fried and the team that he put together to do that. And we adore Joe.
Yeah. But there is a divide between Canada and the U.S. You know why? Because since 1993, a Canadian hockey team has not won the Stanley Cup, okay?
Well, all I can say is the whole idea that Florida won it 2 years in a row, it's like, I can't even explain it. I mean, when they're playing hockey for the championship, it's like 98 degrees outside.
Well, I know.
Something seems wrong with that.
Well, and I was born in Calgary, grew up here. I've been a Calgary Flames fan since 1980, since they moved from Atlanta. And we lost one of my favorite players, Matt Tkachuk, that went to Florida, number 19. Yeah. But
Steve, was interesting. we were chatting before going on the air a little bit ago. And back in 2001, our entire family went with two other families, and we went through Waterton National Park and then to Calgary for what I call the stagecoach races.
Yeah.
And then on to Banff.
Yeah.
And then Lake Louise and Jasper National Park. And then we headed southwest and did several days on this huge mountain lake in a big, what do you call it? Houseboat.
Oh, yeah,
Huge
yeah.
houseboat.
Was that the Shuswap?
Extraordinary.
Was that Shuswap, BC? Does that ring a bell at all or no?
I forget the name of the lake right now, but it was to the southwest of after when we left
Okay.
Jasper National Park. But what happened is one of the families, they were Canadian, and the dad had told me, he goes, one day he's telling me about the Rockies, and I said, oh, the Rockies are the prettiest mountains in the world. And he goes, hold on, you have never been to the Canadian Rockies. And I said, well, why don't we all go? And you proved to me. And he did. There is a place in Waterton National Park when you stand out in the back of the main lodge there.
Yeah. The Prince of
you
Wales.
Yes. If you look out at the lake and the mountains, to me, that's the most beautiful view on planet Earth.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and that's the Prince of Wales Hotel. And so I don't know if you know that Waterton Lake goes from Alberta into Montana. I don't know. Did you know that?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's so extraordinary.
And it's a very deep lake. It's very dark if you scuba dive. I don't know if you scuba dive at all. You can't see in front of your face. And very interesting, there was a boat years ago, this was before I was born, that was going from Canada to Montana, and it sunk, and it's in the bottom of the lake, and it's a scuba kind of area to go scuba diving, this old ship that sank. Pretty cool, eh?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
Well, it's just amazing. You all are very fortunate to be in such a wonderful, blessed country.
Well, I'm going to tell you, growing up in Canada and dealing with minus 40 and, ice, I was, growing up watching ABC, seeing Miami and Florida State play, and wish I was in Tallahassee enjoying the nice weather there in November rather than being up here in Canada, just to tell you. So the envy goes both ways, okay?
I got it.
So I know in the U.S., they're very big on civil jury trials. It's a constitutional right to have a civil jury. In Canada, unfortunately, especially in Alberta, we don't have civil jury trials and tort claims. It's usually bench only. And everyone's scared of running civil jury trials up here in Canada. You can bring an application. What's the love you have about doing a civil jury trial opposed to a bench? What's the difference? And why could it be a little complicated? If you can explain that a little bit.
Sure. Well, the beauty of the jury trial is like my next one is coming up June 22nd. And the judge will bring in randomly selected people. It will be about 60 people from the community. And they don't know about the case. They don't know, for the most part, probably don't know the lawyers or the judge or anything. And we go through a process of questioning them to eliminate those that might tend to not be as objective as others. And then you let them decide the case. What I love about it is neither side controls them. They're not controlled to do anything. They can make a decision, and once they make their decision, they leave the courthouse. Nobody's going to pester them. You're not allowed to go and attack them and harass them and give them a hard time. And so you get a fair shot at your case with a jury trial. And it's similar in the criminal justice system. A lot of people say, well, gee, how could that person be acquitted? It appeared that there was a lot of evidence against him or her. And the beauty is the jury looks at it, listens to the law. Our rule is the proof must be beyond a reasonable doubt. And so there are a lot of acquittals, but theoretically, the way we look at it is we would rather have a guilty person go free rather than an innocent person get convicted and be in prison. So we love the jury trials. We have them on both civil and criminal cases.
Mm-hmm.
And all my trials coming up, I have several more scheduled this year. Everyone is a jury trial.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Runaway Jury. It's that John Grisham book they did.
I sure did. Yes, saw the movie. I love the movie.
So is any of that true where insurance companies will have videos and they'll have a think tank trying to figure out who Joe is on the jury and what Stacy likes and what kind of cake she likes? I mean, I don't know. Does it go? I know you guys do focus groups down in the U.S. to figure out where your trial is going to go. But, is there always that worry that maybe someone will try and... Runaway Jury is a book. We all know that. It's fiction. But it's very interesting for Canadians to see that movie. Like, oh, wow, they go and pester the jury and all that stuff. But legally, you can't do that.
Well, Steve, I'm a big believer in mock trials and focus group studies, big data gatherings, and looking at all of the different ways, especially post-COVID, on how we can conduct jury research. So that's one thing that's very important. The movie went, certainly, as you can imagine, it did go overboard, with the juror jumping out and that was a bit over the top. But there's no question that when you have trial consultants in the courtroom with you, each one is helping you determine what questions to ask, who to keep, and who to at least try to eliminate as a juror. And it does get very, very sophisticated. And jury selection, example, I tried a case a few years ago where jury selection took us a week, and then I tried one back about 15 years ago where jury selection took us almost 2 weeks. And then the trial was overall a 7-week trial. Usually jury selection is done in one day, and then you move on with opening statements and your trial. But jury trial, it is so important because, look, there's so many things that control how judges think and how judges rule. And I think that most judges try to do a good job of being fair and objective, but they are still at the behest of people who help get them judgeships and corporations that control things, and they can be influenced in a way that most jurors will not be influenced. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's never happened, okay, but overall, I would take my chances with a jury over going non-jury in any case.
Okay. And, the big thing in the U.S. is, we always read about these big settlements, like these $50 million judgments and these nuclear verdicts, and, the civil system in the U.S. compared to Canada is getting out of control. And we don't really, there's not much punitive damages up here in Canada. Like the biggest case, I think, is about $1 million out of Ontario. Is there that, we all know what, there's nuclear verdicts. That tagline was made a couple years ago. There's actually a book called that. What's your view of these punitive damages and nuclear verdicts? And, is it really rocking the civil justice system in the U.S.?
The answer is no. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
In medical malpractice cases, most medical malpractice cases result in defense verdicts. But when there's a plaintiff's verdict and it's for $10 million, that hits the paper.
Yeah.
When it's a defense verdict and it's zero, that doesn't make it into our into the newspapers as much.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the book you're talking about. was written by a lawyer out in California. He's with a firm that they do defense all over the country. And he writes a book about nuclear verdicts. And I won't get into a discussion on
Yeah.
on the flaws in his logic of the book, but that when there is a big verdict, it is because the jury has heard evidence presented which was found to be admissible by the trial judge, and the jury understands something catastrophic has happened. The other thing is, we're in a unique situation right now in our country where we have people who hold office in our country are filing suits all the time, and they say, "Well, somebody defamed me,
Yeah.
and the suit should be for $5 billion." Well, when people hear this from someone who holds the highest office, that person is filing suits for billions of dollars over a comment made or a statement made about his reputation, I think that affects them all the way around. But remember, whenever there is a verdict, the other side can appeal. You can always appeal it to at least one level. Before that appeal takes place, you get to ask the judge to give you a new trial. So you got new trial with the judge, it's one shot. Then you can appeal to the intermediate appellate court. And then usually it goes on to your state Supreme Court or even the United States Supreme Court. And if they okay it every step of the way, then that verdict was acceptable under our judicial system. Sometimes they say it was not. They find that something went wrong during the trial, they send it back, and then there's another trial.
Okay. So it's something that we don't really see here in Canada. I mean, I don't know, there is a threshold for pain and suffering in Canada that was set by the Supreme Court of Canada in the Trilogy cases in the late 70s. The most money we can ever get for pain and suffering right now is about $480,000 Canadian. Okay? And that was set in 1970s by the Supreme Court of Canada. It was $100,000, but it goes up every year with inflation. But luckily for our clients who are catastrophically injured, there is no cap on future cost of care. There's no cap on future loss of income or earning capacity. So that helps our office get, them back in the position they were, even though we have sort of caps here and limitations on what kind of money you can get for pain and suffering in Canada.
Yeah, in most instances in America, there are no caps on damages. Some states do have caps on certain types of damages under certain circumstances. And the good news is more often than not, those caps have been declared unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And part of it is the jury has to make that decision. Not some legislator who has business interests and wants a cap on damages so it won't affect his or her business. That's what that's all about.
So obviously, I've seen you talk at the ATA convention many times. I see you there, and you mentioned you're doing civil litigation. You mentioned med mal, trucking accidents. You do auto, product liability. Is there a favorite area you like to focus on, or you just like to do a broad practice of product liability, trucking, and med mal?
I personally have enjoyed doing trials across the gamut. If you just think the last 15 or 20 years, I've tried product liability cases, premises liability, auto collision, trucking cases. In one case, I represented a member of the Greek Mafia out of New York City. He was charged with solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And I took on his case, and ultimately he was vindicated. And I say with uh, just somewhat of a note, 1 year after we won his case down in Boca Raton, Florida, his Greek Orthodox Church named him Man of the Year.
Okay.
And when I heard that, I really believed in his innocence in that particular case, and that's part of why we were fighting so hard for him. But I like doing different types of cases.
Yeah.
The beauty of litigation, though, certainly in America and in Canada, even if you're doing one niche area, every case is so different from the next. It's like every day is different. The witnesses are different. The law that affects that case will be different. The evidence is different. You got a different judge. So all of that is what makes it exciting. But I do like doing different kinds of cases.
Is it the challenge you like of doing different cases? Because there are like med mal. Everyone's scared of doing med mal in Canada, and you hear about the U.S. It's so complicated. These doctors have all the money. The medicine is very difficult to understand. Premise liability cases, we do those premise liability claims. A lot of lawyers won't do those kind of claims. Is it the challenge of doing these other tort areas, or you just like doing them?
I like doing different kinds of cases.
Yeah.
I think the variety of doing that is what attracts me to it. And when the clients call, and if some client calls and says, we got in a bad wreck and here's what happened, I go, well, let's talk. And if somebody else says, Aunt Martha tripped over a rug in a restaurant and her head slapped down on the flooring and she has a brain injury, I'll do that premises case. I like dealing with clients in different kinds of arenas like that.
Okay. And obviously, I can always admire you and your sons. Whenever I see you guys at conferences, you're always in suit and tie. Okay. No, I'm serious, because after COVID, everyone gained weight. I'm still trying to get my weight down so I can be in a suit and tie. But you guys always are you're always well dressed, gentlemen. Like, is that just the persona and just the way you want it to be perceived? Because a lot of people are business casual now. Lawyers are. They show up in their golf shirt, T-shirt, maybe in a deposition. I always admire you and your sons of showing up in suit and tie all the time.
Well, thank you for saying that, but I will attribute that to my mother.
Okay.
And my mother always said, Johnny, always dress up so that you're in a position where if somebody says to you, you can take off your coat, you can take off your tie, you do that, and then you're more casual.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to do is show up and you're dressed more casual than you should be, and somebody says, you should be more dressed up for this event, and you say, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't have a coat and tie or whatever it is you need. And I know she was just talking to us when we were kids in the way that she put it, but it always made sense to me to do that. And I know, as an example, when we meet with clients, I'm always thinking, what is the way I want this client to perceive me as a lawyer? And it depends. If I'm going to a children's hospital to meet with a paralyzed child, and I'm going to meet the parents there, well, I'm not going to wear a coat and tie for that child. I'm probably going to wear, I don't know what I'm going to wear, but something a lot more child-friendly. It's somewhat like if I'm in court and I'm going to be cross-examining a major defense expert, that's a day when I'll be wearing the power suit. On the other hand, if on another day I'm going to be conducting the direct examination of lay witnesses, before and after witnesses, family members, I might have on a coat and tie, but it'll be a sports coat, a light colored sports coat. tie with some flowers on it. You know, it's a different way of being dressed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you honestly, I've always seen you, and even if Todd ever shows up at a conference, you guys are always in suit and tie. So I want to see you guys in a sport coat one day, okay?
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Even I'll get you a nice golf shirt from Banff when I go up this weekend and give it to you in Denver. But you got to wear it, okay?
Good.
Okay, I'll give that to you in Denver when I see you in Denver. I'll get you a nice golf shirt from the.
That'd be fun.
Okay, and obviously, you've been practicing for over 5 decades. What are the big changes you've seen in the court system, or running a civil jury trial, or just practicing law in general? Like obviously technology, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a big change. I think one thing that I'm seeing is I've just finished a jury trial several months ago with a lawyer down in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
And everything we did in that litigation was on a handshake. He didn't need to confirm anything to me in writing.
Yeah.
I didn't need to confirm anything to him in writing. I know him. We get along great, and we opposed each other during the case and during the trial, but a total trusting relationship. And I've seen some of that appears to have gone by the wayside. I see, especially a lot of younger lawyers, immediately just butting heads because the whole thing is this is my territory, not yours, or in the deposition, no, you're going to sit here, no, I'm going to sit there, no, all of this. And I always just said, I don't really care about those things. I went to a deposition back in about 1985 or 86 in a case I had against Ford Motor Company. It's a product liability case involving a death and a paralysis. And when I got to the deposition location where I was going to depose this a defendant employee, I walk in and there just is about a dozen people on behalf of the manufacturer in the room. And I had said it as a video depot, but when I got there, some lawyer says, well, this is how we're going to do it, and the witness is going to sit here, and the witness going to... And I thought something like that may happen.
Yeah.
And I said, you can bring all the people you want into this room.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You can put the witness wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. What I do care is I'm going to start this deposition on time, and we'll finish it. And we did. What I didn't want to do is let them get me off track.
Yeah.
To where we get a 30-minute debate over who's sitting where. Mm-hmm. Now, in some depositions, it's very important to have that worked out ahead of time, which is why I always tell people, you be the first one to get to the deposition location. And that can make a difference. But those kind of things, I see that as changing. Another thing that I worry about, and I worry a lot about this, until just recently, I never saw judges afraid. I never saw judges fearing, I may lose my judgeship if I rule this way. Mm. Or it may affect my family. Or it may affect where my kids are going to school. And that's something I never thought I would see in America. Mm. And that does very, very much concern me and disappoint me that we have come to a point where people take great pride, some people, in knowing that they can place judges in a state of fear. And I want these judges to know, do not fear those kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
Do the right thing. Always do the right thing, and you'll be okay. There's a saying that was on these signs when I was in the Marine Corps, and it always said to the Marines, like at Camp Lejeune when I was there, it was all about do the right thing no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Things will work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I want judges to do that and not be afraid of the repercussions from politicians. I just hate that they are going through such a stressful and terrible time right now.
Okay, and obviously you've seen that, and and for me, I'd like to know with your experience and the great firm you got down there in West Palm, where do you see the legal system going? Obviously, I've got young daughter. I want her to become a lawyer, follow my steps, and with the change with AI, we hear about Elon Musk, SpaceX, and humanoids, and where do you see law going in the future? I think he's frozen.
Well, I have some great news for you. I think now is the greatest time ever to be going to law school and become a new young lawyer.
Okay.
When you've got challenging times ahead, that's when the world needs lawyers.
Yeah.
That's when the world and the clients need advocates who are going to put their heart and soul and be passionate about these cases. So to me, it's great. I encourage our kids to consider law. I encourage our grandkids consider law. I think we'll probably have 2 or 3 of the grandkids who likely will go into law.
Yeah.
But I would say to any young person now in high school or in college, consider going to law school, get a law degree.
Yeah.
And then you may decide you don't want to practice law, but with that law degree, it will open up so many opportunities for you.
Yeah.
And if you do decide to practice law, then there are so many specialties that a young lawyer can go into, and I would love to see them go into litigation.
Okay, and going forward, is there any concern of you of going for, like, there's always the fear of tort reform. You hear it, here in Canada and the U.S. Like, where do you see, are we continuing to see the erosion of our legal rights with legislation change and tort reform?
The answer is yes. There is a group with the philosophy that they want to push tort reform. If it were up to them, there would be no jury trials. They would control the judges 100%. I mean, that kind of thing is thought about probably in every country on earth, where there is some group of people within those countries who wants to control everything, including the way we think.
Yeah. So
we always have to be pushing back against that to make sure that it never happens.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea now that public employees in America right now, they know if they are critical of our government, then they get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Worse, somebody may go after their children.
Mm-hmm.
And other members of their family. That's never been the America. That's not the America I've been in all these years.
Yeah.
That's very recent.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And everybody knows it's not right. I mean, look, you think about it. You have a 6-year-old who does something wrong. You don't even have to tell them they did something wrong. They know it.
Yeah.
Once they reach a certain age, they know, okay, I wasn't supposed to throw a rock at Susie. They know it.
Yeah.
And adults know it. They know when it's wrong. And you see these politicians and they'll say things and you go, how can they say that? When they know it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
And the amazing thing is that happens in courtrooms sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
See somebody's hand goes up, I swear to tell the truth, and they immediately start saying things that are outwardly false,
Yeah.
and happily you get to cross-examine them.
Yeah. Okay. Eventually, always the truth comes out, doesn't it? Isn't that true?
Ooh,
Or some,
no.
well, hopefully.
Yeah, no. You want the truth to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes it's rough.
Yeah, yeah. So, I know your passion for law and your passion to, represent clients. I also agree. There's no really work-life balance. If you enjoy what you're doing, even if I go to Banff this weekend for dinner, I can still talk to law about law or think about law or meet a client, and it's just the way of life. But outside of work, I mean, I know you like to travel because you've been up to the Great White North. You've been to Banff, Jasper, Waterton, which was quite impressive. What other passions do you have, like hobbies or sports or even watching college football?
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, we're obsessed with college football. We just really do get into it during the football season.
Yeah.
But I like all sports. I mean, I like sports that I don't even, I've never played.
Yeah.
I love lacrosse. I never played lacrosse. We love watching soccer,
Yeah.
tennis. When the Olympics comes on, our family, we're glued to the TV sets for 2 weeks. We just can't wait for the next event. And we just love those kind of events. And we're into everything. I mean, it's not just track and field in the Summer Olympics. It's the ice skating in the Winter Olympics and all of it. We do love to travel a lot.
Yeah.
But Steve, I think I can tell you that at least one of the things that I've enjoyed doing as much as almost anything in my life has been teaching trial advocacy and persuasion in seminars. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And part of it is the preparation that is necessary for any given presentation. It makes you learn and relearn and learn over again and come up with ideas that are so unique and so different in a way of approaching whatever it is that you're going to be teaching. And you look around the country that there are some teachers, they just, it's almost insane. You sit in a room, you listen to them and go, I didn't know that. I never knew that. This is the first time I heard that. I go, what's going on? I've been practicing law all these years, and I'm coming away, that's new.
Yeah.
Mark Lanier, he does an extraordinary seminar, the Lanier Trial Academy. He'll be doing it in June. I go and listen to Mark Lanier, and it's like everything coming out of his mouth is brand new to me. It's a new way of doing it. Scott Oliver and Joe Freed, who we talked about, it's new. There's a lawyer in Las Vegas, Christian Morris. She just has ideas. I go, where did that come from? I never would have thought of something like that. So I just love listening to people, learning, and then I love doing the teaching myself. I just love it.
And she's from Las Vegas, so I can tell you, before I went to law school, I lived almost 3 years in Vegas. And if you want to learn something new, you go to Vegas, okay? Like Caesar's Palace Forum Shops. I mean, anyone that can put a fountain in the middle of the desert on the Strip. I mean, you got to give Vegas credit. So I'm not surprised that she has these ideas, okay?
I know it really is extraordinary when you see some of the things going on out there.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I always admire to seeing you and just seeing you talk and educate me, give me new ideas to bring back to Canada. I mean, we're all part of the British common law history, and there's a lot of Americans like, why is a Canadian down here? Because I want to learn and I want to take these ideas, even if it's one good nugget, and make my clients get them back to the life they used to have before the crash. Okay. Got one more question for you because I know you're a Florida State fan. What's your prediction for the Seminoles football team this year? College football playoffs? Yes or no?
It's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs because this is truly another rebuilding year, and we're going to have a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Going to be starting for the first time. But my thought is, if we could win 9 or 10 games, that would be a great season for Florida State. And we've gone sometimes from not winning many games to bam.
Yeah.
We're in a bowl game and playing great. And we have a great coach, Mike Norvell. I love the guy. I think he's great.
Yeah, and he came out of Memphis, University of Memphis.
Yes.
So you got to be impressed because I know my college football. Okay.
You do. Wow.
And so, I really appreciate it. I've always admired you. I love your passion. I love the fact that you always dress in a suit and tie. You exemplify what an attorney and a lawyer should be. And I wish you the best of luck in your career and with your law firm down in West Palm. And I look forward to seeing you in Denver, okay?
Oh, well, thank you. And I'll look forward to seeing you. This has been a lot of fun. And I was thinking about it as we've been talking. I think we got to come up and do a big seminar up in Banff.
Oh, yeah. And we will help sponsor it, okay? Grover Law, okay?
We will do that.
Okay.
I would love to do that.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you. This has been great, and I thank each of you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the week, and look forward to seeing you in Denver. And that's another episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed this episode. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
The Bulldog Brewhouse Podcast.